we've made many jokes about Al Gore, but there is a serious backstory, and there's it sounds like you've uncovered quite a lot, Dom and Chris.
Yeah, well, he is really the person that kick-started the whole global climate warming change nonsense, or certainly cranked it up. He was the first vocal pusher of the global climate warming change drug addiction on the population of the world, weren't it?
Yeah. When did that first come out with his big initial crusade?
With his hockey stick. I can remember his hockey stick where he said the temperature's gone from there to there, and it's the hockey stick effect. That film was 2006.
Okay.
But yeah. But first, I put that Rishi Sunak image on there because that really last year, roughly this time last year, we did a podcast, and basically we were saying that he was being set up to become PM. Now we thought we'd missed the boat when our friend Liz Truss took over.
The Lizard Trust.
The Lizard Trust. But we actually nailed it, didn't we? I think.
Yeah, I think we were really silly to doubt ourselves, Dom.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's the first time I've actually done all that. To be honest, it freaked me out a little bit.
I did that picture just after the podcast last time.
I think it's
about a year and a half old, yeah. Did you get that picture of Al Gore, Lance?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll get it right now. Here it is.
I just sent it.
Just showing it.
Oh, I want
to hear. Been showing it.
I was blanked out.
This one here.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, that's right. I went in there. That's why.
Yeah.
So I shared this on Facebook today. So Al Gore apparently said, but I guess he said this in 2006, the North Pole will be ice-free in the summer of 2013 because of man-made global warming. On the left is the Sandbanks Peninsula, which is in my hometown in Poole, where we live. I don't live here. I'm not that rich. It's very expensive to live here. And as you can see, 1947, that's how big it was. And this is how big it is today. Now, you could say the beach has disappeared. It hasn't. They've built an extra row of houses. They've built the houses outward. Madonna has a house here. Or she used to anyway. So yeah, that's Chris's new drawing.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realise you showed it.
Yeah. I was just, and I put it next to something, sort of proving that he lied.
Didn't he say the Maldives were going to be underwater as well? And I think they're still building up Maldives, aren't they?
They're still building hotels on Maldives.
Building more hotels.
Yeah. On the Maldives.
The Maldives.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, some of these images of Gore.
I'll go back to your slides here.
Second. I mean, if you look at what he was saying here, we're in a race against time because we're still using the Earth's atmosphere as an open sewer. And these are the sort of things he's spreading around nonsense, while NASA and all these other turkeys are firing fireworks up, burning all this dinosaur fuel, so-called, into the atmosphere. And yet, it's obviously all our fault, isn't it?
Yeah. Blame it on the meat suit.
Al Gore and why he's trained nearly 50,000 grassroots climate activists at the World Economic Forum. So he's another one infiltrating, but at different levels, different people, terrifying kids, terrifying people to glue themselves to the M25 or throw a can of soup over a Picasso or whatever it might be, even though it doesn't even hit a Picasso because it's got a piece of glass over it.
I saw a video of one of them today. I don't know what she was trying to chuck paint over, but most of the paint went over herself.
Good.
So like chucks it up against his surface, just splashed all back over, and she came away like dripping in orange paint. Bell end.
Yeah. So he's kickstarted loads of these people off, like our friend Greta, the Greta Reset. So we've got Al Gore Rhythm and Greta Reset at the World Economic Forum meeting up a few years ago. And these is one of his 50,000 disciples, I would have thought, that he's kickstarted into action around the world. And we can see that generation now. That generation, me and Chris were talking on a podcast we recorded last night about, I think it was a school, a university in Scotland that voted as a student union to ban meat and dairy products from the canteen. And that is that generation. Yeah, that is that generation, isn't it? That now they're terrified that the old farts are taking away their futures. That's their trauma. That's their Cold War, isn't it? The climate's going to be their Cold War.
Yeah, definitely.
I read an article today and it said you should only feed your cats and dogs dry food because wet food.
Well, like sand.
You shouldn't feed him wet food because he's got animal products in and it's bad for the environment and global warming. It's a full article about it.
Right. You shouldn't feed your animals animal products.
Yeah. You shouldn't feed your cat meat.
So then they have these fancy meetings like COP27 where they've got 400 private jets rocking up. I've got no problem with a private jet. I can handle a couple of private jets. I don't know about you guys, but it'd be easier than queuing up in Manchester Airport anyway.
It's nice if you can afford it.
But don't tell us that it's us who are destroying it and we shouldn't be flying around.
Do you know what I've seen shared this week as well? They've been sharing the menus, what they've been dining on at COP27. Well, they're literally saying no more beef, no more. Obviously, beef is the big one, but fishery is a big problem as well. No more meat, and then you look at it's like filet de mignon beef, sea bass. It's literally just meat, chicken, and fish every single meal.
Yeah. Well, that's what
not right for others.
Yeah, that's what the Politburo eat, isn't it? Well, the peasants are eating bread and having rice pudding.
Get it right, pet. It's bugs. Get it right.
So what I wanted to show is that when I started. By the way, do you know COP27 was sponsored by Coca-Cola?
Yeah.
You can't make this shit up, can you? If you wanted to.
McDonald's as well.
Yeah. Before I show this, get into this guy here. You probably never met him. He looks a nice bloke anyway. But I'll play that video, that Attenborough video.
Okay.
Just to get everyone in mood. I think it's only a couple of minutes.
The older grey store.
You might want to smash your screens up when you're listening to him, but.
All right. Yeah. Try to avoid smashing up the studio. Right.
50 years ago, when the WWF was founded, there were about 3 billion people on Earth. Now there are almost 7 billion. Twice as many. And every one of them needing space. Space for their homes, space to grow their food, or get others to grow it for them. Space to build schools and roads and airfields. We now realize that the disasters that continue increasingly to afflict the natural world have one element that connects them all: the unprecedented increase in the number of human beings on the planet. Thomas Malthus, his most important book, an essay of the principle of population, was published 100 years ago in 1798. In it, he argued that the human population would increase inexorably until it was halted by what he called misery.
I have no doubt that the source of all particular environmental problems is population. I can't have a problem to solve if there were less. The increase in the human population is terrifying. We know how it's going to grow. And know that the Earth is finite. So anybody who thinks you can have infinite growth in a finite environment is either an economist or mad. Wherever a society has enabled women to have the control over their bodies, to have a political vote, to be literate, to have access to medicines, the birth rate falls. And that applies everywhere. That can only be a reason for us to help societies that don't have those things to get those things.
Is that still playing or is it? Okay, that's it. Let me just get everyone else back.
I've got two things to say
would
about that video.
Would it stick in there, or would it me?
Yeah, I think it's just because it's coming from your end. It does stick
Yeah,
when you play
probably.
videos a little like that, a little bit.
Yeah.
So I've got two things to say about the video.
Go on, Omar.
The very first section of the video where he's talking to whoever he's talking to is he sounded like he was commentating in one of his documentaries. That's how powerful his voice is. You know, we got to remember that he's a great spokesperson, and so when he speaks, people believe.
Yeah.
And then the other one is he looks a bit like Trump.
Yeah, he does a bit. Yeah.
See, he's got the same shape, fucking features. It's interesting.
You see that a lot, though, don't you? I see that a lot in people where they look very similar to people.
Certainly, the elite 1%, they all look very similar, all being brothers and mothers and sisters and
intermarrying freaks.
Shit, anyway, it just keeps fighting. It keeps on, it's growing, but she's saying educate.
No, it never says.
Not really.
It just says less people.
Yeah, the solution is just getting rid of people.
Yeah,
He kind of skirted around it.
Yeah.
It's difficult to say it directly.
Educate, I mean, jibby jab them.
Oh, that's what I love.
Yeah, educate them with a needle.
Yeah.
Or false information.
Yeah. Yeah. So, shall we start with that chap we were talking about there?
This one.
Yeah. I mean, this guy is called Peter Brabeck Letmathe. And this is the guy, one of the guys that I pulled out when we were doing the World Economic Forum Board of Trustees. So Gore is a board of trustee on the World Economic Forum. So he sits on the board. So he's making decisions for the World Economic Forum. Yeah. There's about 30 of them sit on this WEF board.
Is it 33?
I wish there was. I think I don't think there's quite 33, but anyway.
Bollocks.
Yeah, bollocks. Yeah. But it's probably this guy's unknown.
So these are Klaus Schwab's henchmen.
These are Klaus Schwab's henchmen. I think this guy is the vice chairman of the board of trustees for the World Economic Forum and a comrade of Gore's. And he's an Austrian businessman and is the former CEO of Nestle.
Right? So he used to poison all the kids?
He was the one giving them the milk in Africa, probably. But even more than that, he joined in 1968 and his career had a span in Chile during the coup against the Allende government and the Pinochet dictatorship. And this places him within the senior management at the time where Nestle were helping the CIA with the coup. And other firms, included ITT and people like that, were also helping with the strategy. So, yeah. So he also is on the board of directors of Credit Suisse, L'Oreal, and ExxonMobil. And he's also been a Bilderberger. I think it's 2011. He was a Bilderberger. And this is the reason I pulled him out is because speaking about water, right? He appeared in a documentary called We Feed the World. This was while he was at Nestle. And speaking on the subject of water, he said, it's a question of whether we should privatize the normal water supply for the population. And there are two different opinions on this matter. The one opinion, which I think is extreme, is represented by NGOs who bang on about declaring water as a public right. That means that as a human being, you should have a right to water. So he's questioning this. That's an extreme solution. The other view says that water is a foodstuff like any other, and like any other foodstuff, it should have a market value. We know where that goes. He added, personally, I believe it's better to give foodstuff a value so that we can all be aware of its price, and then one should take specific measures for the part of the population that has no access to this water.
I'm fucking sampling that. That is an intro to the track.
I wonder how that's going to go.
Yeah, that is...
Start using like manufactured scarcity towards water like they do with everything else. Imagine that.
Well, the diamond principle, innit? I mean, we did a bit of last night. We did a bit on Esther Rancid and her background, and her forebears. One of her great granddads or something like that was in the diamond mines of Africa, and he was a direct competitor with Cecil Rhodes, who was backed by the Rothschilds, who ended up buying his business. So he got paid out by the Rothschilds, this guy. Yeah, and accidentally fell off his boat coming back. What I'm trying to say is that these bloodlines all fit in controlling. Like diamonds are meant to be finite, but we know it's not. And water's the same. They're just using the same principles over and over again, aren't they?
Yeah.
Can't remember whose lyric it was. They'll stick air in a bag and charge you to breathe.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Exactly
Machiavellian parasites. I think that sums them up really.
The crater lifers.
Yeah. And he's a typical member. Is that guy? I mean, we pulled out loads of them. They were, when we were doing it, and so I just thought I put Gore up. We all know what Gore means. Blood has been shed, especially as a result of violence. So his name means what he's doing.
I was thinking about this earlier on, and if you look at his name and you spell it with a capital A and a small L as you would, it looks like AI. So when I write his name, I always put capital L so you can see it's Al. So his name actually looks like AI Gore.
Yeah.
AI fucking violence.
and when we come, and when we come, I've always thought that actually. When you guys start saying it, algorithm, and I looked at it, and he always looked like AI Gore. Artificial intelligence blood has been shed.
Blood shed on the dance floor.
Yeah, but he comes across as another sort of like opportunist who's just going. That's good.
I've got a meme for everything. I've got them all at my fingertips here. I've got like every Al Gore meme going.
But he also appeared. Gore's appeared apparently in the Black Book of Epstein with Clinton.
In there.
Yeah, with supermodels Naomi Campbell and Heidi Klum, who travelled on Epstein's private plane. This is from a testimony of an Epstein accuser. Now, whether all that's just nonsense or not, we'll never know. It seems like another stage show, but
Is his name in the book? Because obviously,
apparently, yes. Apparently, yeah. And so, and these are the places that he said there would be. This is a picture taken from this year, I think. Well, it said 2022, and he said this is the glacier, the Patagonia glacier. I think it's still there. He said it would have disappeared.
As well, well,
I'm going to come to that, Chris, because
for that president thing.
Well, yeah, I'm going to come to that because I think that what struck me by the presidency thing was it was obviously a con job, and he kept quiet about it, and he even went on telly saying it's a fair result and he's a winner, George Bush Jr., etc., etc. And I think he just got given a different job. It seems like he just got given a role as the global climate warming change poster boy. Yeah. Pardon?
Slightly more glamorous job. More glamorous job, to be fair.
Probably, yeah.
Probably pays better as well.
Yeah. And so then I just wanted to mention this as well. Greta, I've got a video of her actually. It's a bit pointless because she can't talk really, but Greta Thunberg, or as she's known properly, Greta Tintin Eleonora Ehrman Thunberg.
No, she's
Tintin.
She's called Tintin. Yes, she's called Tintin.
Oh,
Yes.
fuck. And she looks a bit like him as well.
Yeah. Her whole family are actors and TV producers. Her grandfather worked for Disney and played Monsters Inc. character. And her grandma was an actress as well. Her mum and dad are actors and TV producers. And so she's from a background where she's an actor. But it's not just her. That boat one of the boats that she used there to do, I don't know which, I think it was the second leg. This is what the boat was. The boat was called Gitana 16, yeah, and it was owned by the French Rothschilds, later known as Malisa II. The yacht was commissioned for the Gitana sailing team, founded by Benjamin de Rothschild, owner of Edmond de Rothschild Group.
You couldn't make it up, could you? Sailing around on the fucking Rothschild yacht, probably made out of carbon fibre.
It just turned up, man.
If you've got the big P's, you make your boat out of carbon fibre.
Well,
how much carbon did it take to make that boat?
Oh man, And they can't get rid of carbon fibre, can they? Because those big propellers they're putting on these stupid windmills, they're having to bury them, aren't they?
Yeah,
Because they can't do anything with them once they're finished.
It's made of like the most concentrated hardcore carbon you can get in the whole realm.
Yeah.
Made of pure carbon.
Where's Chris gone? Has he gone for a bottle of wine?
He just sort of disappeared. Maybe he did have a bit of a dodgy connection. He's back. Oh, I've got a little. Here he is. Welcome back, Chris.
Hey, mate, I just went out and came back because we were acting a bit funky, man. Every time I said something, I can see you staring at me like.
Yeah, it's a signal, I think, Chris. That's what it is.
He's saying a full bar. I just clocked out, clocked in again. Is it all right?
It is jumping around a little bit.
It says it's green here, but just carry on. That's what we can do.
Yeah, we can't do much about it. So Chris has spoke about this before, where she had this film made about by Hulu. I Am Greta, which from nowhere she ends up having again because she's got a background in acting and what have you. Now the guy it's interesting to see who these people are who make these films and the companies behind them because Hulu is owned by Walt Disney.
Right.
So now we know why these things are being pushed. But it's not just owned by Walt Disney, it's owned by NBC Universal and News Corporation, Murdoch's News Corporation. Not you, Lance, but the other Murdoch.
I have been accused of being related to Rupert Murdoch. It's last week on the show, actually.
It was also funded by this guy who started up Providence Equity Partners. And you can see he's on the World Economic Forum. He's been there a few times as well. So these are the people who are backing these. He's also a trustee of the Rockefeller University, obviously, and he's part of the Giving Pledge with Buffett and Gates.
Probably got
so these are the people
fellowship at John Hopkins as well, something like that.
Yeah, but these are the people who are funding these films behind the scenes who we never really see. So you've got Disney, you've got the News Corporation. I mean, the Murdochs now own part of Disney, don't they? Because it merged with Disney. So you're part of Disney as well, whether you like it or not now, Lance.
Yeah, I got enveloped by Uncle Walt.
Yeah, Walt Hitler. So this guy here, right? This guy here, Savante Arrhenius, is a distant relation of Greta's. And his full name is Savante August Arrhenius. And his mother was Carolina Thunberg Arrhenius. Savante is also the name of her father. Savante was a Swedish scientist in the 1800s. And he also won the Nobel Peace Prize Nobel Prize for Chemistry in 1903. And he was a director at the Nobel Institute as well. Now, he came up with this idea in 1896. And he was the first person to use the basic principles of chemistry to calculate the extent of which atmospheric carbon dioxide will increase the Earth's surface temperature through the greenhouse effect.
Wait a minute. Are you trying to tell me that Greta's grandfather?
Well, it's like an uncle rather than a grandfather, but yeah,
he's actually the granddaddy of climate change.
Yes.
Holy shit.
He's got mountains named after him, glaciers.
Gosh.
Yeah, they haven't melted yet. Places on Mars, places on the moon named after him. What are the odds of that? I mean, you've got to be stark raving loonies to think that's just happened by chance, haven't you? I mean, surely.
I wonder if he's got a little territory in Antarctica named after him.
Yeah, quite possibly. But I mean, the whole bloodline, the Swedish bloodline. I mean, Chris did a show on it once, didn't we? That they're into acting, science, academics. You know, there's loads of them, all professors and what have you, behind this family name from both sides. And Greta's mother sung the Eurovision Song Contest in 2009. Can You Keep a Secret?
This simulation's taking the piss out of us.
So I think this is what Chris was talking about earlier on, and I did try and find some genealogy. Me and Omar were talking about it earlier with his mother. Do you want to talk about a bit of that, Omar? Because
you carry on.
Right. I found no real links to any interesting bloodlines. It's from Irish, Anglo-Irish immigrants who settled in Virginia in the 18th century, in Tennessee, after the American Revolution. However, there's a castle in Ireland that was built in the 16th century by the Burkes. I don't know who they are, Bourkes, later renamed Castle Gore. And so
Castle
there are,
Gore.
yeah, there are
Piss out
The
of
Blood Castle.
the Blood Castle. So
Is there a
are,
Gore moon?
painted in the blood of peasants.
yeah,
So wait a minute, Gore baronets.
yeah. So there are Gores in Ireland with there's two earldoms, barons, etc., etc. And his middle name is Arnold. Now I think that sometimes descendants use a surname as a middle name, especially if it sounds like a first name. And the Arnold family is a prominent family in America as well, but I couldn't find any links to that. And the Arnold family in Britain's a prominent family. Aldous Huxley's mother was Julia Arnold. And I'm sure Fritz Springmeier mentions them in the 13 Bloodlines of the Illuminati as a sub-family, because they're a very prominent family in America in politics. So anyway, I'm sort of jumping the gun there. I don't know whether he was a member of that family, but he's described as a businessman and environmentalist, which I found odd because he was a politician. So he's now rebranded himself as a businessman and a politician. We'll come to his net worth in a bit because that's quite an interesting one. But Christian were on about when he got conned in 2000 with the election, and this was like
By
it's
George
like,
Bush Jr., yeah.
by George Bush Jr., which set then the whole New World Order plan in motion for 2001. He stepped away, which George Bush Jr. won the election by 0.009% of Florida. Yeah, and his brother Jeb Bush was running Florida, and I remember reading a book about that there were like zombie voters where people were voting 3 times, or dead people were voting
3 times.
Yeah, 3 times.
Like
Yeah,
he said, he rolled over. He didn't make a big hoo-ha, did he? He just rolled over.
didn't make a big hoo-ha. No,
That was the
no.
weirdest thing.
And
I wonder
I
if
just
Gore
think
was
it-
skull and bones as well, like Bush's.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
well, he went to Harvard anyway. He went to Harvard.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
did
he will be.
Gore, so there are, a lot of them are part of these secret fraternities out there. When they go there, they get pulled in because they know they're gonna. I hope he's opening his bottle.
The witch piss is coming out.
Which piss is coming out? Which piss is it tonight, Chris?
It's actually quite a good quality bottle today.
Somebody sent you that.
No, my missus treated me from Waitrose.
Right. Yeah. So we're going to come to this bit here, which I found quite hilarious. Today, Al Gore, his estimated net worth is $330 million.
How much?
$330 million.
Oh, God. I like I said to you earlier, that's exactly the same amount of money that the Wakanda Forever, the new Black Panther movie, just grossed $330 million.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You can't make this shit up, can you?
they just love it. Just absolutely love it.
I saw a good 33 today. I can't remember what it was, though. Okay.
I've seen 33, at least 33 times a day.
33
again.
times time two. Times
Absolute
two.
piss take. I was saying to Manic, we were after last week's show, we'd been messaging each other, and he's been saying to me like, it's not even just like on the clock or the TV screen. He's been like going into a shop and someone will go, how much is that? It goes like £4.33. It's just like it gets it all the time. I driving home, there was some car with just a massive green 33 on the side of it, just a mini. Just they put a massive 33 sticker right on the side of the car. I was like, what for?
I've got it.
Fucking
Yeah.
The king of dinosaurs just got even bigger. T-Rex was 70% bigger than previously thought and could now weigh up to £33,000.
No.
That is a good one. That's a good one.
No, I knew I'd seen it somewhere. We were in Daily Mail online. King of dinosaurs.
Yeah, we've got the worst
T-Rex
inflation
just
for
got bigger.
33,000 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lie just got bigger. We're going to need a bigger hoax.
You're going to need a bigger
We
Jurassic
need to
Park
start using some different numbers because we're finding these too easy to see.
We don't even need to look. They're just jumping out in our face by now.
Anyway, this
No,
is
that's my screen.
Oh, sorry, mate. Yeah.
No, I just shared the wrong screen. That's
That's
better.
his old man. That's
That's Al Gore Senior,
Mhm.
and he was also an American politician in
He
the
was
US.
a House of Representatives, wasn't he?
That's right, yeah. And he was best friends with a guy called Cordell Hull, who was the longest-serving US Secretary of State. And Hull was also granted the Nobel Peace Prize in 1945 for his role in starting up the United Nations, and was referred to by President Roosevelt as the father of the United Nations. And it's strange how Al Gore Jr., not him, not senior, became a United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change member.
Mm.
And as we know, the UN's just the New World Order's world government, and a Rockefeller setup. So after leaving Congress, I'm sort of jumping around here, he also taught law at the Vanderbilt. So going back to what you were saying earlier, Omar.
Yeah, his mum's the first female. Well, she was an honorary one because she took a load of she got a load of qualifications beforehand, but they never gave her any certification for it because they didn't believe women had the rights for that at the time.
That's right.
She was the first.
She was a lawyer, wasn't she?
She was a lawyer. Yeah. Well, she did a few other things as well, didn't she?
Yeah.
I found out.
Well, she was like
Pauline Lafon.
That's right. Yeah, Lafon. Yeah, but she was like a PR agent, or for people who were going for political power. She was like the forerunner to these people that were.
Yeah, didn't Al Gore say something about his mum as well, about being the best advertising or something?
That's right. Yeah. She what do they call them when they're going around places drumming up money for election campaigns and stuff like that? That's what she did basically. And I think they set a company up after they both retired doing that. But this is the irony that all these people live by, going back to the private jets and stuff like that. Gore Senior represented a company called Occidental Petroleum, right? And he became vice president of it and of the board of directors. And former Occidental CEO Armand Hammer, it was a long-time friend of his as well. And Occidental disclosed its contributions to political action committees, lobbyists, that's where I'm looking at the word, were lobbyists, and trade associations. In 2005, the company was among 53 which contributed to George Bush Jr. So his dad, all right, he's probably dead by then, but the company he worked for was backing George Bush Jr. into power, while his son, the election before, was running against him. And this is what you're seeing over and over again. It's also helping to fund the Clinton Foundation as well.
Well, the same family. I mean, Pauline Lafon was the woman who convinced, I think it was Al Gore Senior, to put forward the Southern Manifesto, which is what's basically is what the Southern Manifesto was the rights for it stopped anybody apart from white people being able to integrate.
It was basically pro-segregation, right?
Yeah, it was pro-segregation, yeah. And she was on it. She's the reason why they had the Jim Crow laws, and she's the reason why the Southern Manifesto was signed by however many states it was signed by.
Yeah.
Wow. Bet he doesn't talk about that one a lot.
Well, ironically, Lance, when his dad died, his dad before he died was head of Island Creek Coal Company, it's proper American name that, which is a subsidiary of Occidental. And when his dad died, Al Gore was criticised by environmentalists in 1998. When he inherited the shares of the company, of a petroleum company. You can't make this shit up, can you? Yeah.
What a faux pas.
Yeah, it's terrible. And also in 1998, ironically, just as his dad had died, the government sold an oil field called Elk Hills to Occidental for $3.65 million after an auction process, which was obviously a fairly run auction process, involved selling the field in segments and offering it to multiple bidders. And critics also said the Gore family's involvement in the company was evidence of a conflict of interest. No shit, Sherlock. Gore Jr. was vice president of the Clinton administration at the time.
What? Everything these people do is the biggest conflict of interest ever.
It's hypocrisy in it.
Yeah. So he actually owned an oil company, or part owned an oil company. And then he became the poster boy for... Yeah. One of the biggest shareholders in Occidental, by the way, is Warren Buffett. He owns 20%, and it's worth $60 billion today, is that company. And we're told he sold the shares immediately.
It just made him feel so dirty, he had to get rid of them straight away.
Yeah, he had to get rid of them.
At a massive profit.
He had to move them into a trust so he couldn't find them in Bahamas. So he's officially an actor, definitely.
Eye-popping entertainment, Al Gore.
Yeah.
He's badass on the dance floor. And he's an
he's
actor
badass.
too. He's just
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, Al Gore is a
They're all
badass.
actors.
All actors, and
Mhm.
he's an actor and writer known for obviously Inconvenient Truth, an inconvenient sequel, Truth to Power. I didn't realise there was a sequel until I started looking at this, and it was also in Futurama. He was also roommates at Harvard with Tommy Lee Jones, the actor, and Eric Siegel, who was an author, screenwriter, best known for writing Love Story in 1970.
No relation to Stephen.
So roll back a second.
No.
Who is he in Futurama? He wrote Futurama.
What?
No, he was in Futurama. He's best. He's
he plays
really good
himself,
friends with
doesn't
Matt
he?
Goring. Yeah, we're
Plays
in there.
himself.
Yeah,
In future.
Wow, I'm quite surprised at that.
Because wait a minute, doesn't Al Gore have appear in South Park as well when they go on about the man bear pig? There's
Yeah,
a couple of
I don't think
there's
that
a
was
couple
in
of
there, was
story arc.
I don't think that were
Was
him.
that
He'd been
in
in
there?
Oh,
The
right,
Simpsons,
yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Oh,
He's
right,
been
yeah,
in
they
The
just
Simpsons.
took the piss out of him. He wasn't actually involved in that production.
Yeah. It was
One-
fucking
one of his,
hilarious. That was.
One of his roommates at Harvard, this Eric Siegel, actually did the screenplay for Yellow Submarine, the Beatles, Yellow Submarine, 1968.
Crowleyites.
Yeah,
That a
Crowleyites. Yeah. So 2006, Inconvenient Truth was released, winning 2 Academy Awards for Best Documentary Feature and Best Original Song.
Massive lie.
Yeah.
Oh, this off.
The film grossed 20.
Here's your award, Al.
It grossed 24 million in the US and 26 million internationally, becoming the 11th highest grossing documentary film to date. It cost 1.5 million to make and grossed $49 million.
Hell, that was.
Yeah, $49.8 million.
That's a good return.
Yeah.
Look,
The idea
help-
to document
Well,
Gore's efforts.
that-
Say that again, Chris.
Really a document.
No. The idea for Gore's the
Doing
film
the top
was
walk, wasn't it, really?
came from Laurie David, who saw his presentation at a town hall just by accident at a global climate warming change. So some of the early parts of that Inconvenient Truth were taken from the opening segments of The Day After Tomorrow. So it isn't even real. It was
What?
CGI'd. Yeah, so it's well known.
Wait,
Apparently,
he took it. What he took it directly from a disaster movie, a cataclysm movie.
yes.
Oh, you gotta laugh at you.
Peak clown
Where
world.
have we heard that
Pete
before?
Clownword. yeah.
It's going back to 2006. This is before
yeah.
clown world
Well,
even
wasn't
got
that the same
coined.
out, Contagion.
Yeah, Contagion was same, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. They used it. Didn't Contagion use the actual like sort of
Something
like
wrong with my mic, it's
WHO health minister or
Yeah,
something like that,
yeah.
making the
yeah.
same announcement about the
Well,
same outbreak?
Well, let me tell you something, right? The same company, and I'm going to go into it in a minute, that produced Contagion, produced this.
No way.
Yeah, yeah. It's all intertwined, isn't it? With it. Yeah. So I'll come to that next, actually. Here we go. So that guy there stood next to Bishop Tutu. Is a guy called Jeff Skoll, who we've mentioned before on some of these things. He was one of the co-founders of eBay. And he owns a company called Participant Media, which is a film production company he founded in 2004, dedicated to entertainment intended to spur social change. I think he's succeeded in that. The company has produced and financed or co-produced over 100 films, and it's been nominated for 73 Academy Awards and won 18. So these are the people that are sort of pushing the narrative. Films like Syriana, obviously Inconvenient Truth, Fast Food Nation, Contagion. So this guy was the first president of eBay. And he was one of the earliest proponents of socially responsible investing, called impact investing, through which he invests in for-profit companies whose mission is to deliver both social impact and financial returns.
Basically, chief producer of social engineering media.
Well, yeah, and that is what these firms are doing. And he's obviously got a foundation called the Skull Foundation. Doesn't make lager.
So we've got
World
Al
Foundation.
Gore, which means blood and gore. We've got someone called Skull.
Yeah, Skull. Yeah. It's probably my
This
accent.
is the Skull and
actually.
Bones,
Yeah,
Skull and Bones production, I reckon.
Yeah. And what about this one then? He's put $1.1 billion into this by the end of 2018 into this foundation. And every year it holds the annual Skull World Forum, where we heard that before, and assembles social entrepreneurship leaders. So they're all sort of copying this same format, filtering it through. And Gore spoke at this meeting, so is Kofi Annan and ex-President Jimmy Carter. So people like that are speaking at these meetings. Chris's connection's dreadful, isn't it?
It is. Do you want to go to like audio only, Chris? To make
Get rid of your video, yeah.
If you turn the video off, it will hopefully like make it better.
I'll come back.
Just turn your video off, Chris. He doesn't know how to do it. He's looking how to turn the video off. Yeah.
He'll be back in a minute.
Well, Pierre Audemars, who also founded eBay, was a young global leader of 1999.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
So it's a nice amount of gold around his neck, isn't it? It's probably stolen.
Bishop Tutu. Yeah.
I think about all the gold that's taken.
Is that a massive gold cross?
Yeah. Look at that thing.
They might have got that off MC Hammer.
MC Hammer gifted that to him, yeah.
Yeah.
MC Hammer's a serious dude, man. You don't mess with that guy.
yeah, it's true, isn't it? That's what people always say. He's not just a rapper. Don't mess with MC Hammer.
I can't think who it was. They had a bit of mini.
Get closer to the
They had
mic.
a bit of mini beef. I can't think who it was now. It was either like.
Yeah, you see, like MC Hammer might have made commercial music, but that brother was real.
Yeah, man, he was a bad man. Like, for example, someone like did a diss on his mum, like, you know, in a track, and like not even meaning it was more of a joke.
Someone dissed MC Hammer's mum.
Well, it was sort of like as a joke. It was like I believe anyway. It was like lightheartedly, and he turned up at their concert and offered them out.
You don't say that about my mum.
What do you say about my mum?
So the woman that produced this film, Laurie David, the lady in that white dress, she's an environmentalist as well. And this is where, again, there were rumours actually she had an affair with Gore.
Unlucky.
She serves as a trustee on the Natural Resources Defence Council. And she's also an advisory board member of the Children's Nature Institute.
Right.
So she's involved in all these NGOs as well. And the Natural Resources Defence Council is an NGO environmental advocacy group from New York. And it was founded in 1970, and it had over 3 million members, which include 500 scientists, lawyers, policy advocates to advance the environmentalist agenda. So it's based in New York, which is where the UN is. Yeah, anyway. So same sort of funders are funding this place that we see all the time. And the purpose of its work, it says, is to safeguard the earth, its people, its plants and animals, and the natural systems on which all life depends, and to ensure the rights of all people to the air, the water, and the wild, and to prevent special interests from undermining public interests.
So that goes back onto the guy who wants to charge us for the water.
That goes back to that. And they have an annual revenue of $182 million. And you've never even heard of them.
No. And they've done all these things. I've never heard of him. He looks a bit like Tom Cruise, matey boy on the left.
The one on the left is the director I'm going to come to in a minute.
Right.
He's the director. Guggenheim is called.
Guggenheim.
He's the director of Inconvenient Truth.
Right. He looks like a director type, doesn't he?
Yeah. But I'm going to come to this guy next.
Okay.
Leonardo DiCaprio. Because he's also a funder of the Natural Resources Defence Council. Should we try and play a video, Lance, if I can get it up?
He's not here, but yeah, go on, crack on. But yeah, get the video up then.
See if it plays this time. You might need to play it, Omar.
Whereabouts is it in the video section?
Should be on the left-hand side now,
Okay.
under the images.
Yeah, I see. Oh, yeah, we go.
Please welcome newly appointed United Nations
video.
Messenger of Peace, Mr. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests. I'm honored to be here today. I stand before you not as an expert, but as a concerned citizen, one of the 400,000 people who marched in the streets of New York on Sunday, and the billions of others around the world who want to solve our climate crisis. As an actor, I pretend for a living. I play fictitious characters, often solving fictitious problems. I believe that mankind has looked at climate change in that same way, as if it were a fiction, as if pretending that climate change wasn't real would somehow make it go away. This is not a partisan debate, it is a human one. Clean air and a livable climate are inalienable human rights. And solving this crisis is not a question of politics, it is a question of our own survival. The time to answer humankind's greatest challenge is now. We beg of you to face it with courage and honesty. Thank you.
Need to get rid of that. So there's another actor there telling us that he's not an expert. Let's get Don back.
Well, they tell us, don't they? They're not lying.
Yeah, they're not lying.
But he's a funder of this Natural Defences Council, and he's also the United Nations Messenger for Peace on global climate warming change. He's one of the most active celebs in the climate movement, and he established this foundation in 1998. It's weird how he established the foundation. He's not really that famous at that point in 1998. But anyway, and it's worked on over 40 projects, 40 countries, and has produced documentaries like Water Planet and Global Warming. The foundation's also funded Debt for Nature swaps, which are financial transactions in which a portion of the developing nation's foreign debt is forgiven in exchange for local investments in environmental conservation measures. So
what they're doing is that's almost similar to how McDonald's and Tesco's, and well, maybe not so much Tesco
franchise.
Some of these, they take up. What they do is they put the people who own the actual product in a position where they have to give it over to the major company.
Yeah, and they put these actors in front of you, and they become household names and favourites and stuff like that. So again, like seeing David Beckham wearing whatever an England shirt, and kids want to wear it. That is, you see DiCaprio there at the UN. That means we've got to take notice because he's talking. It's yeah.
I like to refer to him as DiCaprio, actually.
DiCaprio, yeah. And so he's also been a supporter of various other environmental organisations, which the World Wildlife Fund. We heard Population Control Attenborough talking about the World Wildlife Fund, which was founded by Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands. I don't know if you've heard of him. He was an arms dealer, an early member of the SS, and a friend.
He's a good guy, all-round good guy.
What an awesome resume he has. A proper philanthropist, mate.
One of the general's best friends, I believe.
Yeah. The general and him get on really well.
One of the other founders of the World Wildlife Fund was Prince Philip.
No.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. I'd like just to interject, right, because I read this thing a while back that said that Prince Philip, he was actually he was the patron of the World Wildlife Federation.
Yeah.
But at the time, he also sort of held the title. It was self-proclaimed of the person who had officially in recorded official hunts killed more animals than anyone else on planet Earth. And they listed all the animals he killed. It was 30,000 deers,
gorillas and things.
Oh yeah, 1,500 gorillas. 10,000 wild bucks, and he killed. On the list, there was 140,000 animals that he killed.
And he said the world human population is like a virus. It's a plague. That's what he said. It's a plague. So we got him on the World Wildlife Fund. Also, one of the founders was Julian Huxley, or Sir Julian Huxley, Aldous Huxley's brother, who was an evolutionary biologist eugenicist, an internationalist proponent of natural selection. He was also president of the British Eugenics Society.
They love a bit of eugenics.
Oh
Yeah.
Eugenics.
Also on the founders board was a chap, Godfrey A. Rockefeller. So we know who's pushing all this stuff. Yeah.
Eugenics for you, but not for me, comrade.
Yeah, you sound better now, Chris. It's
Is it working? I dare talk. It sounds so bad.
yeah.
I just sent you a picture of Prince Philip next to a dead lion. Because I think that came out after he became the patron saint. And they had to cover it up. In fact, the Queen's there as well. Prince Philip's on the... I've just sent it to you, Lance, and I sent it to you, Dom.
Did you send it to the email?
I sent it to your email, yeah. I think that's your email, isn't it?
riseabovelivestream@gmail.com. I haven't got
I
it.
don't know where I sent it.
I have got
I
a
sent it
meme
to
from
Lance.
Anti-Coviet, though.
I sent it to Lance.
One sec.
What is it? I'll send it to you. I'll send it to him.
Yeah, I will do now. Yeah.
Let me just share this, show this quickly because it is about you two. Auntie Coviet just sent this one in Sheepfarm's Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
It's your drinking hour, Chris. Something has to be done about your drinking.
We mentioned
I've got
it last
an
night on
odd
the
binge
podcast. Yeah.
What is it?
Odd
Nice one,
binge.
Auntie Coviet. We love a lot. We love a good live meme. We love it. Oh, look at that! It's popped up.
How dare you?
How dare you?
Oh, I was going to
house is
save
on
that for
fire.
later. That's long. I was going to save that for later.
Dom calls me Black Nicholson sometimes.
Yeah, Black Nicholson, I call him. Yeah. However, obviously Leonardo likes the use of private jets, super yachts.
Loves a super yacht.
Likes a super yacht. And he's been accused of hypocrisy.
I wonder how much carbon.
By who?
How dare they?
Yeah, how dare them?
I wonder how much carbon a movie would take to make. If you think about all the people get into the set, all the things they blow up.
Makes too much sense, that, Omar. You can't make that much sense.
What is the carbon cost of this high budget movie with explosions every 5 minutes? What's the carbon cost of this? Yeah,
yeah. So it's but again, what gets me down? Can you just turn these pictures back on again, Lance? If you would?
Sorry.
It's all right, mate.
It's funny they dragged them all the way over there just to say that one sentence as well, fair.
Yeah, I know. Dragged him
That's
over.
how much
We're a bit
clout-
longer
how
than
much
that. Chris. That were an edited version. That.
Oh, that edited version.
Yeah.
Shows how
Yeah, they could have done it on
much power
Zoom.
they've got,
But I noticed when he were talking there, he had to bring up that he's an actor.
right?
He actually
was
telling
almost
you
like
what he's
double
doing.
speak. You double speak, wasn't it? Yeah, it was like Masonic.
Just to remind you, I'm an actor.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I'm an
I
actor.
don't know. You know what I'm about to
I
tell
don't
you.
know.
I don't know anything.
Yeah.
But you've got DiCaprio's a major player, obviously famous, etc., etc. Then you've got guys like this who is funding the organisation, the NGO, and finding it. This guy is called Fred Standback Jr., a donor and funder of the Natural Resources Defence Council.
Wait a minute. I thought his name was actually Misanthrope.
Back.
Why does
Yeah,
it say
Standback.
Misanthrope?
It's a misanthrope.
Misanthrope. I don't know what that is.
No, that
That is-
misanthrope is that means someone that hates other people. That's what
Right.
misanthrope is.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
He does
No,
hate.
that's
No,
not-
it's not his name.
no.
He does hate other people.
He's an
Well,
anti-humanist, isn't he?
Right,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, when you think about what he stands for, he's a billionaire and he's also a major donator to organisations that promote abortion, like Planned Parenthood. He's also
Hates
funded,
people.
of the Sierra Club Foundation, funded by the Rockefeller Brothers Fund.
Yeah.
He's also connected to population control via NGOs such as Population Connection, formerly called Zero Population Growth.
So maybe he's going to be the one who pushes the button.
Zero population growth.
Don't beat about the bush.
No, but just tell him what you think it is.
Tell him how
Zero
he's
population growth.
Well,
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'm really glad you brought this up because I'm just going to show you something that I found this week or something that came to me.
They'll just turn off your chip. That's what I'm saying.
They just turn off your chip. Where is
Turn
it?
off your chip, yeah.
This has come into the news, the normosphere in the last week. Got two stories here. On the left, Canada to euthanize disabled homeless woman. I also saw something today where there was this guy. He was in like a nice looking house. It's like nicer than my house. He's like, oh yeah, I can't afford my house and I'm in lots of pain. I think it's better. It's better if I'm euthanized. So he was choosing to be euthanized.
Master Lee actually said about humans, the self-sacrifice thing. You know, they're just stepping up. Okay, yeah, do me.
Yeah,
They're going to
he's
Britain. That's another way of doing it. But like things like encouraging euthanasia. I'm not saying I'm not pro or against it. It's an individual decision, really, isn't it? But
again, in
it's interesting.
Futurama, do you remember they had suicide booths?
Yeah, they had suicide booths.
Yeah, they've got those now. That's what it was. He was getting into like this pod. It was a euthanasia pod.
Yeah, I saw this on TV. Was that fucking real?
Yeah, well, they have him in Switzerland already.
Wow.
And here, Health Chancellor Gates tells G20 world leaders that death panels will soon be required. Unelected World Health Czar Bill Gates, it's Health Chancellor Gates peasant, has used his appearance at G20 summit in Bali, Indonesia, to raise a discussion about death panels. Is this recent? I don't know. According to Gates, death panels will be necessary in the near future to end the lives of sick or unwell people due to very high medical costs.
Yeah, I put a video on SheepFarm 2 second channel where I put all the videos now, and it had him being interviewed about this, where he was saying that the cost of keeping someone alive in the last 3 months of their life is $1 million. And it costs more to do that than set a teacher on, etc., etc. So I'd prefer to have teachers than keep people. The conversation was going around like that.
That conversation shouldn't exist, should it?
And he mentioned death panels. He actually mentioned death panels on there. And so you've got a guy, Health Chancellor Gates, whose father was head of a eugenics system, Planned Parenthood. His mother was related to the guy that ran the New York Federal Reserve. And so, yeah, you've just got people in charge, the same people over and over and over again.
Parasite
and this guy here, parasite bloodlines, the Machiavellian parasite, it's there telling us one thing when they're really shafting us with a big stick. In the newspaper, this guy was a classmate of Warren Buffett and he was his best man. So he was Warren Buffett's best man at his wedding. So he's known, Stanbrook is described as a known proponent of anti-humanist environmentalism, the belief that protecting the environment hinges on population control. So these are the people in the background. That lady works for this organisation that then directs Inconvenient Truth. So she's in this organisation. They're saying we need a film about global climate warming change. This guy's funding it, yada, 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 and he wants less people on Earth, along with all the other people like Attenborough and people like that. But yeah, the NRDC itself is an investment organisation. So part of it invests, it's that philanthropic investment organisation, and it invests in companies, like oil companies, it's been found to. So it's telling people to use less oil, but invested in these companies. And yeah,
I don't see the conflict. I'm sorry, I don't see the conflict.
Is there conflict of interest there?
Anyway, this lady, this Laurie David, used to be married to this guy. And this guy is Larry David.
Wait a minute, she's called Laurie David.
Yeah, he was married to her.
I like Laurie.
Yeah, he came up with Jerry Steinfeld.
So Larry David wrote Seinfeld, but then but then he went on to do Curb Your Enthusiasm, where he plays the super rich Jewish guy who invented Seinfeld. But I've watched all the Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Plays himself,
yeah. So that's the couple there. They were worth. Well, he was meant to be estimated being worth 400 million. So she got divorced from him. So she's obviously taking a big chunk of that. And Miss Magazine quoted Laurie David about the grassroots aspect of her campaign. If anyone does one thing, they are likely to do two things, then three things, and they are more likely to influence friends and family. And that's how you build a movement.
Yeah.
And Ms. Magazine, to that picture there, Ms. Magazine, that was the first cover of the magazine, was set up by activist Gloria Steinem, this lady here.
I've seen that image before somewhere.
It's a bit Cali-ish, doesn't it? We just go back to that.
We did a whole thing about that, didn't we, when we did did one of his old early ones. I remember looking into that Ms. Magazine cover.
Yeah, I think this is actually on your show. I've seen this image before, actually.
Yeah, I actually just thought same, to be fair. Just thought, I reckon.
Yeah. And so the Ms. Magazine, Gloria Steinem, admitted after getting this award from Obama that she was a spook. She actually worked for the CIA to set this Ms. Magazine up.
Yeah.
In 1967, Steinem revealed in an interview with the New York Times that she worked full-time from 58 to 62 at the Independent Research Service, which was financed by the CIA. Steinem defended her relationship with the CIA, saying, "In my experience, the agency was completely different from its image. It was liberal, non-violent, and honourable."
Yeah, because you were in the entertainment wing of the CIA. That's why.
Yeah, yeah.
And also something like little, like if you think about it, the initials of that is IRS, so people always assume that it's tax, like the Inland Revenue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know it's in America slightly different, but I just think it's a clever little way of hiding something.
I always remember reading that the CIA also, I remember reading this when I was younger, that they financed like Jackson Pollock, you know, the artist. So it's the same kind of thing. You know, they promote.
Yeah, they're funding,
tending to promote free thinking, and you know,
they're funding social enterprise, aren't they?
Well, like the thing you played at the beginning, Lance, with who is it? What's his name? Who died? Talking about how they started the women's liberation movement. I remember hearing that for the first time and being absolutely gobsmacked. But the more you think about it,
every counterculture, you know, that we can think of has been infiltrated by this dark priest class.
Well, now it's obvious, isn't it? Now, I mean, with Black Lives Matter and all the other shite that's going on.
We shouldn't really be surprised because people like Soros have been doing it for years anyway. It's funding both sides of the fence.
Lance, in the chat, there's a guy called FPV Angel. Have you seen his?
Yes, I know. Yeah. I have seen his videos. Yes,
they put out some fantastic stuff, man.
Yeah, that's real deep stuff.
Epic,
that's proper,
epic, yeah, epic stuff.
As above, so below the realm.
Yeah.
Big shout to FPV Angel.
Yeah,
I've never seen that. What is that?
Yeah, I'll send it you over, Chris. I'm sure I sent it you over. Yeah, they do some really, and it's like it's a stream that goes on for like 20 hours. There's different people talking constantly.
Right.
Yeah. This guy, Davis Guggenheim, he was the director of Inconvenient Truth, and his credits include NYPD Blue, ER24, Alias, The Shield, Deadwood, and obviously the documentaries Inconvenient Truth. And a few
Guggenheim are
more.
a famous family fighter. They're a big
And
family.
we're going to go into that in a sec.
All right, sorry.
We're going to go into that. You didn't read script, did you?
No.
Jump in the gun as usual.
Dom, don't worry. These lot always do it to me. Like when I prepared like a big 100-slide swab show, and you know, and I've got these real gems, these punchlines that I've put right, you know, spaced really
Spurt 'em out
beautifully.
right at the beginning.
You know, for 100 slides, you know, 33 in, I've got a real banger, and then on the 5th slide, Andy PG's, oh yeah, this, and I'm like, yeah, nice one, cheers, mate.
Yeah,
it happens.
That's our job, Lance. Keep you on your toes.
It is.
Ruining.
Anyway,
things.
this guy did a. I mean, I didn't watch it. I watched a trailer to it, but again, this comes back to he did a Netflix series called Inside Bill's Brain, Decoding Bill Gates.
God.
I know. In 2019, how mad is that? In 2019, there's a Netflix series about Bill Gates just before all this nonsense. Obviously, they knew that he was going to come under fire, big style.
And what's the general consensus of that movie or flick, whatever it is?
Bill Gates is great.
Yeah, Bill Gates. Well, no, he came under a bit of stick actually because obviously he probably funded it, didn't he, himself? So
Yeah,
I mean,
bet he did. I was going to say, is that the case?
And all it was about, it didn't really go into anything really. It was about how his mind worked, and you know, he's a captain of industry and philanthropist, and the rise of Microsoft from his garage, and
he's a genius.
Yeah,
Full on rapist.
we did something about last night. We did Richard Branson, which was it was strange, wasn't it, Chris? We had a bit of a giggle actually, but Richard Branson tells a story that
nearly died of laughter.
Oh, we nearly died of laughing. It was nearly as good as it were better than the Hitler one. But anyway, this were Branson Gates told a story that were just so unbelievable. Like it said, if it weren't for his mum finding some jewellery and the police allowing her to keep it because nobody came and claimed it, I wouldn't have been able to start my business up. She got £100 for it, and that's how he started Virgin up, apparently.
Yeah, right.
And he missed out then the whole backlog that he was related to Sir such and such and this, that, and other, and just
Also,
nonsense.
Worse than that, fact, you were living in a squat, and then in 4 years, you were getting done for tax evasion. I mean,
less than 4 years, Chris.
Yeah, well,
Less than
3 years, but in between all that, he'd done businesses from a squat to tax evasion.
And not only that, it started. Can you remember that video, Lance, when we did that live show on SheepFarm where we showed that Branson video where he were doing an abortion clinic?
Yeah, no, that was like what he started doing. It was like his first venture. Like he just rented an office and he was inviting women to come in, just like consulting them on what he could do to get rid of the the unwanted life.
But why would the BBC or whoever it was that filmed him in 1970? He just got out of a squat and he's being filmed there talking about his record business, and then that just won't happen, will it? Again, it can't happen by chance. It's impossible. Anyway, the Inside Bill's Brain was a 3-part documentary on Netflix. And according to The Nation, the documentary's blind spots are all the more striking in the light of the timing of its release. Just as news was trickling out that Bill Gates met multiple times with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. So this is a turd polishing exercise, isn't it?
Yeah.
Big time. But yeah, David Guggenheim is the son of another filmmaker, Charles Guggenheim. And Charles Eli Guggenheim was an American film documentary director and producer and screenwriter. And he is the most honoured documentary filmmaker with Academy Awards, winning 12 Oscars. That's his dad. And as Chris kindly said, the Guggenheim name and the Guggenheim family is famous, and he'll know this from like art. They're quite big into art, aren't they, Chris?
There are art galleries all over the world.
Yeah, and Maya Guggenheim. Now, I didn't look deep enough to know whether they were related, but the Guggenheim name is derived from a village in Germany. So there can't be many people in that one village called Guggenheim, and they're of Ashkenazi descent. And arrived in the US in 1847. Yeah. And they owned nitrate mines in Chile. And like Chris said, they own Guggenheim Museums, the Guggenheim Aeronautical Laboratory, and the Guggenheim Pavilion on Mount Sinai Medical Center. So
fun fact,
they're still floating around these.
Do you remember the beginning of Men in Black? I don't know if you remember when they're running up that, and it's like a circle building, and they're just going up and up and up, and then he jumps off the top. That's the Guggenheim Museum, I think. Pretty sure it is. He's one of them. They're all. Well, I went to one in Venice. They're everywhere. Yeah. Anyway,
cool.
Yeah, they are all over, Chris. Yeah. One of them, Benjamin Guggenheim, died on the Titanic. And also, they're married into, how mad is this? The Guggenheim family married into banking dynasties with the Loebs and the Rothschild families and the British aristocracy. One member of the British aristocracy are Arthur Patrick Avondale Stewart, the 8th Earl Castle Stewart, the son of Arthur Stewart. And Arthur Stewart married Eleanor May Guggenheim, daughter of Solomon Guggenheim. And he is the senior living member of the Royal Stewart family, descended in a legitimate male line from Robert II of Scotland, or Robert the Bruce.
Wait a minute.
And this is
Sol Guggenheim is the descendant of the Stuart bloodline.
Well, yeah, one of the Guggenheims is, I don't know if this guy is, I'm presuming he is, because the Guggenheim's from a village and they're generally all related back to each other. And he's related to the royal family, and they say that royal family is the last real royal family. They've made no claim to the royal throne, but they are actually the real royal family, not the German what we've got.
Well, there was treaties, because I did a little bit of research quite a while ago now on like these German royal families that seem to have like got themselves around most of Europe. It's interesting because they all made treaties with each other about shared ownership of areas. So I wonder if that's part of that. I can't remember what the treaty is called now.
Quite possibly. And they seem, anyway. And I'm sure the Guggenheims, again, were another one of those families that were in Fritz Springmeier's 13 Bloodlines of the Illuminati. They were like a because they're interrelated with the Rothschilds and stuff like that. They
like a secondary. Yeah,
I'd have to read the books again. So the man who directed the film that kickstarted the millennial mind control that is global climate warming change and the documentary Inconvenient Truth is related to the famous Guggenheim family, possibly. And he did Bill Gates's background. And anyway,
You have to get a picture of him up and get a picture of the family up. The historical family of all the males from their family, and you'll see the trace if it is related, if they are related.
Yeah. Well, also some of them can be watered down, and they don't care if they're like illegitimate either. So looks can be deceiving, I suppose the phrase is, because like Boris Johnson, he's an illegitimate line to the royal family. Yeah. Cameron, all these people, also the Robert II or Robert the Bruce bloodline. We worked back that Blair was part of that bloodline. I think Johnson was part of that bloodline. Wizard was part of that. Michael Gove was part of that bloodline. The Stuart bloodline, which is pretty amazing, really, that all these people are rising to the top. And all part
what a coincidence.
Yeah. I don't think I've got that from my mum's side anyway. Probably some sort of cotton picking down south, isn't it, Chris? South America. History is a lie. That's the only truth we know.
Yeah, I've just been putting up FPV Angel's comment.
Yeah. I think he's from Yorkshire, is FPV Angel. Sounds it anyway.
Maybe we'll have to get him on the show.
Get mixed up. Yeah, I'll have to be a good show, that. In 2007, October 2007, Gore and the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change were awarded a Nobel Prize for their efforts to build and disseminate greater knowledge about man-made global climate warming change.
Did you say Greta knowledge?
Greta knowledge, yeah. Gore was also given a Grammy Award for the Best Spoken Word album in 2009 for the audio version of his book, An Inconvenient Truth.
That's the algorithm.
He did it in spoken word.
He did it in spoken word.
Yeah, with the algorithm. Come on.
Yeah, he's got the rhythm already. It's Al Gore. Come on.
In a section called The Politicization of Global Warming, Al Gore stated, "As for why so many people still resist the facts, what the facts clearly show, I think in part the reason is the truth about the climate crisis is an inconvenient one that means we are going to have to change the way we live our lives. All profits of the book, printed on 100% recycled paper, go to the Alliance for Global Climate Warming Change Protection, which Gore founded in 2006, which is an NGO. And it merged, and I think it became the Alliance for Climate Protection in 2011, which is another now NGO. Two of his NGOs merged. And in April, the Alliance for Climate Protection launched a April 2008, a $300 million marketing campaign. And they spent the money over 3 years. And it was spent on public relations. And it was spent with a company called Glover Park Group. And Glover Park Group, again, they have people working for it. Again, they're all council members. The Alliance for Climate Protection, the NGO that he set up, has Theodore Roosevelt V on the board, right? You can't make this stuff up.
It's a who's who.
It's a who's who. And he's a member of the CFR, the Economic Club of New York, et cetera, and he's a prominent conservationist, which means a population controlist, and he's the great-grandson of Theodore Roosevelt. Roosevelt was also a World Economic Forum annual meeting of the new champions in 2012. And he also went to Harvard, and he would have been there when Schwab was there at Harvard, I would have thought, because I think he graduated in 1965. I think Schwab around that time. And this Glover Park Group, again, giving $300 million away so a lot of it to this Glover Park Group, is a consulting company. And some of Gore's mates who were with him when he was vice president founded this company, ironically. And some of their clients include Pfizer and Microsoft as well. So, and it was bought and acquired by a London-based communications company, WPP, for £8 billion. So these are the companies that are being used and pushed around.
So it's like they're not only pushing the agenda, and they're not only like mixing politics with Hollywood with propaganda. They're also making a shitload of money while they're doing it as well.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
for them.
As we showed with Gore, he made $330 million.
It's his net worth.
And he's Anyway, as I said, Gore's good friends with Matt Groening, is it? And he's done voiceover appearances in The Simpsons in 1989 and 1999 in Futurama. In 2002, Gore became senior advisor to Google. I mean, he's really into Al Gore rhythm, isn't he, there? In 2003, he was elected to Apple Computer's board of directors. 2004, he became visiting professor of UCLA, Fisk University, and Middle Tennessee University. Not only is the whole ideology behind global climate warming change nonsense, they have another actor in Gore, centre stage, who doesn't show any remorse at all.
Even though everything that he said, like back in 2006, none of it came true.
Absolutely none of it. What would it? No snow on Kilimanjaro. There's going to be no more snow Kilimanjaro. He's also a distant relative of Jessica Simpson. Have you seen pictures of her recently, Lance? She's doing a Britney, I think.
Oh, really? Oh no, she's gone off the rails. The programming is breaking down.
But she released a book called Open Book, and she speaks about sexual abuse she suffered as a child.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going around at the moment, and spilling the beans.
Yeah, I mean, Kanye, he's really going overboard.
But he's either breaking rank or he's helping with the big grand reveal that's going on, which a lot of us are postulating about, that this is a big sort of disclosure project as the simulacrum is disintegrating.
If you think about it, really, everyone's doing that by talking about it, by giving it more airtime.
Yeah, we're giving it more airtime right now. Right now, we've got 420 people tuned in. Yeah. So all of that attention is going towards this phenomenon.
It's letting them know we know.
Yeah.
It's letting them know that we know what's going on. I mean, Chris, we were talking earlier, Chris, about the breakaway civilization that's going to happen. That's been written about in 1984. You mentioned, Chris, didn't you? And Brave New World, and lots of other dystopian films where people like ourselves will be on the other side of the wall.
Demolition.
And even Schwab wrote about it in that You'll Own Nothing. And they wrote a piece that said, I feel sorry. One of the young global leaders, I think, wrote a piece saying, he feels sorry for the people. He were pretending they were writing 30 years in advance, and the people weren't in the smart cities. And he wrote a piece saying, we feel sorry for the people outside because it's like living in the dark ages. So, this thing's been written about, but yeah.
Big up the bartender.
Yeah, big up bartender in the house. I've said about this before, like, if they are successful with their fourth industrial revolution and Greta Reset and the Schwab cities, those people that they're talking about out in the wilderness will be the new Amish.
Yes.
Because the Amish people, what did they do? Why did they break away? Well, it's because society was becoming too satanic and they were using electronic devices. Now, all the stuff that we talk about, it's like, where is the frequency coming from? It's definitely being used by electric. They're definitely using electronic devices. The parasite uses electric. Maybe the Amish knew something. Yeah, they don't even want to be near power lines.
Do you know anything about a group of people called the Gargoyles?
No.
Wow, I learned about these 2 days ago, and I've been researching hard since then. Yeah, Gaga, UZ, Gargoyles. Yeah.
What, are they like a breakaway civilization as well?
They are. There's a lot of shit that surrounds these people. They are situated in Moldova, but also in Ukraine, a little bit in Romania, and a couple of other sort of fractions around the area. Now, if I'm right in what I learned about yesterday, their existence proves that Ukraine have actually broken a massive war treaty, because Ukraine have made these people fight against Russia, and these people are pro-Russia.
Oh wow! Okay.
Deep. You think about that. But I'm not speaking for the Gargoyles, right? What I'm saying is from what I understand, they are pro-Russia.
I have to look into that.
But and Putin, not Putin, sorry, and Zelensky has told them they've got, the people who live in Ukraine, that of them has to fight against Russia.
Action man Zelensky.
But they may want to. Who knows? I can't speak for these people, but it's just a little bit of a fucking twisted narrative, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's all very strange anyway, isn't it? All that in Ukraine.
But Russia. These people are Tatars.
Right.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, this is an ancient.
The originals.
fucking line. Yeah. So they're also Kazakhs. Originals. Holy
Right.
fuck, when I know about this, I was like, no.
Oh, they're like a sort of like a
They're from-
Khazar tribe
Caucasus.
from the Caucasus Mountains.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a Zelensky green vest today, especially, by the way.
In Kiev green.
Yeah, I just realised, yeah.
Kiev green. Love it.
Class. Anyway,
Okay.
in 2004, Gore co-launched Generation Investment Management, and he's I think he's still chairman. And Generation Investment Management is a financial services management company founded in 2004. It was co-founded by Gore and Goldman Sachs asset management head David Blood. So we've got Gore and Blood working together.
And Skull. The guy earlier was Skull.
Skull, Gore, and Blood.
This is
working
definitely a
together.
Skull and Bones
I wonder if,
production.
yeah, definitely. I wonder if
Definitely.
they've signed any treaties on the blood moons of past, you know.
It'll be interesting.
They signed their treaties in blood on someone's skull
Yeah.
using a special Al Gore pen.
So-
Weirdos. Absolute weirdos, mate.
Yeah, I know, it's odd, isn't it? The stated emphasis on sustainable investment options for their mutual funds and other investments. David Blood also serves on the before-mentioned Just Climate. He spent 18 years at Goldman Sachs, including serving as CEO of Goldman Sachs Asset Management. So he also went to Harvard, did our friend Blood here, and he served as chairman of Social Finance UK and co-chairman of World Resources Institute on the board, and he's on the board of Daylight on the Edge of Conservation. Generation IM's breakthrough was integrating the disciplines of finance and sustainability. So this was set up in 2004. An Inconvenient Truth came out in 2006.
It's almost like this is all going on a script that's been handed to them with a timeline counting down towards a coming
everything
event.
is that they've been doing, these guys. You know, they make something, then they make profit out of it. They make everyone scared, so people pay into it. People believe.
That's
it.
right. Trauma-based investment, really, isn't it? If you think about it.
Yeah, exactly that. Trauma-based investment. Whoa, what do you expect from someone called Gore and Blood?
And their associate, Mr. Skull.
Yeah, Mr. Skull, yeah. Skull and Crossbones. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we've got the full 4 horses.
Right, while we're on the subject of names, let me just bring this up quickly because we like little tangents here. Because we talk about like how this clown mockery simulation, you know, the people that tell us these stories have these stupid names that are to do with the story, right? So, you know, like Ukraine, this crypto company, this big thing that's happening this week. So here it is, right? Ukraine partners with this FTX crypto company, and the look what the CEO is called. Sam Bankman-Fried. And like, he's literally been getting grilled on TV in these interviews, and you know he's
been fried on TV.
Yeah,
not
literally grilled and fried. Sam Bankman-Fried stepped down as FTX CEO. I mean, when I saw that, I was just like, really?
Yeah, really. It's just
second largest donor behind Soros as well. So yeah, just another great example of the just the same web that you're talking about here.
Yeah, In 2007, Generation IM and Kleiner Perkins, which is an American venture capital firm, announced a global collaboration to find, fund, and accelerate green business, technology, and policy solutions with the greatest potential to help solve the current global climate warming crisis. That's interesting. That company, Kleiner Perkins, is actually called Kleiner Perkins Caulfield and Byers, and it's an American venture capital firm which specializes in early incubation and early stage and growth in companies. And it's founded companies like America Online or AOL, Amazon, Compaq Computer Corporation, Electronic Arts Inc., which is the gaming company, Genentech, which is the BioNTech company, the pioneer in the field of recombinant DNA arm spears, now owned by Roche Pharma, which is a World Economic Forum partner. Incidentally, Andre Hoffman-LaRoche is also on the World Economic Forum board with Gore. It was also early funders of Google, Netspace, Sun Microsystems, Twitter, could go on and on and on. And the firm seems to have been set up, or be another CIA set up, and it was set up by this guy, Eugene Kleiner, and he's got an interesting story. He was an Austrian-American engineer that came over and is considered as a pioneer of Silicon Valley, and he escaped the Nazis in 1938. He was introduced to a guy called William Shockley. Now, we mentioned William Shockley in the Slumdog at Stanford University, and William Shockley was the manager of research group at Bell Labs, and he was a professor of engineering at Stanford University. And he worked at the Pentagon as well. And he met he worked with high-level government officials there. And him and Frederick Terman from Stockley are both widely credited as being the co-founders and fathers of Silicon Valley. So these are the companies years on from them setting them up in the 1940s and 50s to now investing in Amazon and Google and things like this. And they're obviously CIA operations. After World War II, Frederick Terman, who was probably more CIA, he said in his own words, all branches of the military would fund the programs and wanted Stanford to build prototypes of electronic intelligence and electronic warfare systems that could be put into production by partners in industry. The Navy informs Tierman that money was not a problem. This is the funding that Stanford University's got.
Money is not a problem.
And you think, remember we went on about Hewlett-Packard and things like that there. Now, Stanford alumni have founded numerous companies which combined produce more than $2.7 trillion worth of annual revenue, creating $5.4 million jobs, roughly the equivalent of the 7th largest economy in the world.
What the fuck?
That's just from Stanford University, and Silicon Valley is right next door to it.
Yeah.
So they've actually come up with these investment companies, a country on its own without any borders.
Massive commercial entity, yeah.
Massive, absolutely massive. And who controls this? Who looks over all this stuff?
Well, they look at themselves, don't they? That's the trouble.
So Gore, back to Gore, he started organising Live Earth. I can't remember hearing about this, but there again, it might not be something I looked at.
I remember Live Earth.
And so Gore organised this, and it was a concert to combat global climate warming change. And it was a series of concerts held around the world, and it included 150 musical acts, I'm sure. Pink Floyd were on there and people like that. And it makes you, how many of these people, like what we've just seen with the arm spear in 2020 onwards, how many of these people realise out of these 150 acts, which were mainstream acts as well, they weren't like, your local shop corner pub type act, how many of these people realise they're being used?
They probably think they're doing it for a great cause. They'll come up and they'll turn up and play. The people there. This is Live Earth, and it's literally this is like a parasite pharma class sponsored event. So where they're effectively high level multi-billion-pound propaganda and predictive programming for what's to come for the cattle class over the next coming decades. That's essentially what all this stuff is.
Yeah, and. These. I read somewhere that I think I've got it down here somewhere that how many people they asked a group of people, and they said that after Inconvenient Truth was made, something like 75% of the people that had watched it were more likely to be environmentally friendly after watching it. This is the sort of impact it's having on people, and you can see now if you think from 2000 when he lost the election to now. How many young people now who are 15 or 20-year-old at university, they're the ones that are going to carry it on, aren't they? They're the ones carrying the banner for global climate warming change. It's not people like us. You try having a conversation with one of them nutters.
Can't. Not at all. I've tried, actually, funny enough. I've actually tried with these people, but they're difficult to reason with.
Yeah, it's again, who's funding them? I mean, the Stop Oil is funded by one of the Gettys.
When you think about it,
the other funders are like the Open Source Foundation and things like
Well,
that.
it's like Greta sails around on a Rothschild yacht, and the Rothschilds are basically, they've sponsored every anti-humanist, anti-environment
They fund everything.
agenda that's happened in the last 200 years.
Yeah.
So it's just an absolute joke. It's just absolute clown simulation. Do you really think that? I mean, if you sat down with someone that was pro green agenda, and you try to show them these facts that this is literally being sponsored and funded by the robber baron class who own all the oil and the petrol companies, it's like they would accept it. I'm not sure they would. It's like cognitive dissonance would probably kick in.
Yeah, and
if you think before 2005, before they ramped up all this, new nonsense, before 2000, if you were at college or everyone talked about feminism like it was the biggest next thing, and that had gone on from the 60s up to the 90s, up to 2000, and now they've just invented another 10 new ones, haven't they? Oil, everything, Black Lives Matter, all this stuff. But I remember being at college and
food and water, that's up there with it as well.
Yeah, but everyone thought they were right on because they were still a feminist,
Yeah, it's like one of the guys that helped this Live Earth. One of the founders was Emmy-winning producer Kevin Wall. So he was one of the guys with Gore that set up Live Earth, and he's an American entrepreneur and investor, and an Emmy award-winning producer. And he was a co-founder of investment fund PTK Capital. And he finances companies involved in social and environmental issues with a commitment to gender equality. And he also is co-founder of Dreamscape Immersive. And he was an early stage investor in FaceCrook. So these people are involved in all these. Wall is married to Susan Smalley, an American behavioral geneticist, writer and activist.
It's almost like they've all got some sort of like huge overarching agreement that they have to have like a certain percentage of all these different things so that no one can take full responsibility for any venture. And it's like it spreads because this is sort of like how the mob works.
Yes.
And the Cosa Nostra and that they have this sort of like unspoken and sometimes a spoken agreement where it's a shared responsibility. It's the whole family, the family's assets and the family's business ventures. It's a shared responsibility. One of us goes down, we all go down together, sort of thing. Whether that happens in real life when the shit hits the fan with these type of people, they probably don't.
No, but that's maybe how they sell it to some of the lower individuals in their little web.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But all's all right because in 2013, Gore became a vegan. He had early admitted it's absolutely correct that growing meat intensely is connected to global climate warming change.
All the best human farmers are vegan.
Yeah. Yeah. In 2008, Gore won the Zionist Dan David Prize for Social Responsibility. Another winner was immunologist Dr. Anthony Fauci.
That's so funny.
Dr. Anthony Fauci won it in 2021.
The Z Prize for, what was it, human
social responsibility.
So responsible.
Schwab won the £1 million Dan David Prize to help fund the Young Global Leaders, or the rebranded version of the Young Global Leaders in 2000. And again, we've mentioned this before because it was affiliated. The centre is affiliated, the Dan David Centre is affiliated to the Sackler Family of Medicine Faculty of Medicine. And the Sackler School of Medicine was named for Arthur Mortimer and Raymond Sackler. And the Sackler family founded and owned huge chunks of Purdue Pharma, the developer of OxyContin.
Which is causing like more deaths than any other drug put together in the US at the moment.
Should we put this film of Greta on before we go into did Al Gore launch the internet?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Right, where is it? Are you gonna? Yeah,
I've just put it on. I've just loaded it up.
Okay, I think I can see it here. Let me make it big.
Welcome to the Greta.
Greta Thunberg takes her climate activism to the high seas. The Swedish teenager has set sail on a transatlantic trip with a difference on a zero-carbon sailboat. Thunberg, who shuns air travel due to its environmental impact, responded to climate skeptics.
Of course, it's going to be challenging for everyone on the boat. Probably that is what you have to expect, and I mean, there are always going to be people who don't understand or don't accept the united science, and I mean, I will just ignore them because I mean, I'm only acting and communicating on the science, and if they don't like that, then I mean, what have I got to do with that?
Captain Boris Herman said tackling climate change was a race against time. Luckily, the vessel is a racing yacht, kitted out with solar panels and underwater turbines to generate electricity. First stop, New York for the UN Climate Summit next month.
Okay, let me get Dawn and Chris back. So yeah, prime bit of Greta there.
Yeah, on the Rothschild sailing yacht with solar panels on.
All the cameras there, ready to roll, just like when she
made of condensed carbon fiber.
Yeah,
I was looking up actually. Is it Malaysia? What's the Malaysia? Is it?
Yeah, it was Malaysia 2. I think it changed its name.
Medusa.
No, yeah, Medusa. Yeah.
So if I got my daughter to sit outside of school because she was a climate activist, would there be a load of cameras there waiting the first day that she did it? And got on a boat.
Well, yeah, the first day she walked out of school.
Yeah, you know,
No, you probably get arrested, Chris. You probably get arrested.
And get on a boat and say I'm doing it because of climate, and would be a lot of cameras there ready to roll. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
It's just nonsense. The whole thing is just nonsense. There is no reality to any of it.
I was just looking at something when you were talking then.
Yeah.
Were you on about fentanyl? What's fentanyl for?
It's the same thing. It's a painkiller, isn't it? It's basically
it's a synthesized opiate.
I sent you an article earlier, a couple of days ago. I don't know if you saw it, but exclusive scientists create a vaccine for fentanyl. So they've created a vaccine for the side effects of fentanyl that stops you from getting
a jib jab, Chris. A jib jab, Chris.
Well, the reason that people die of fentanyl is because it's so powerful. Fentanyl is roughly like I don't know if this is right, but I've heard it's like 200 times more powerful than heroin, which is diamorphine. So it means fentanyl you can take in a tiny dose and you can have an overdose of it. So what, they're going to make a vaccine which makes you super tolerant to opiates? So that just means they can pump more opiates into people. Yeah, sweet.
A jab for fentanyl. That is the article in the Daily Mail.
Well, the irony behind it is heroin was used as a watered down version of opium, like methadone's used now.
What? How does that work?
Well, so in the turn of the century, 1900, there were so many opium dens and people addicted to opium. They decided to try and use another version or variant of the opium, and it was heroin.
Oh,
and
right.
that was used as to wean people off opium.
I think that might have been slightly counterproductive.
Yeah,
I've experienced an opium den in Asia, but in Laos. I mean, they don't have it like openly now. When I first went there, they did. You could order like a shisha full of opium, so you smoke it and you lie down and
any good?
Yeah, it was like really strong hash, but everything goes real quiet and you just sort of like whoa, and then you sort of like lie down, but you're still conscious, but you can't move. And then this little guy comes out and goes, "Are you okay, mister?" And you put your thumb up. You're like, "Yeah, you want anything?" I don't need anything.
Well, that was in that De Niro film, wasn't it?
Once Upon a Time in America. That's where I was.
That's it. Yeah.
Where he's lying and the phone's ringing, ring.
This place had no chairs. It was all like lying down. It was like lying down on a bed, and there's a table in the middle of the bed.
I got asked to go to one when I was in Egypt, and we never went. I freaked the shit out because this guy just came over to go.
Someone's saying, is it the pizza restaurant? Yeah, it was a pizza restaurant, actually.
Can you turn those images back on, Lance?
Yes, sorry.
I just wanted to interject here about Greta's boat.
Yeah, go on, mate.
Go on.
Yeah.
It is actually made of carbon fibre. And
I knew it was.
And composite material. Oh, fucking hell, my days.
and the material they composite with was even more harmful than the environment.
Yeah, I was going to say,
carbon.
they won't tell you. I can't find out what the composite is.
Triple carbon.
Probably some plastic, which is obviously oil.
You've got to feel sorry for that girl a little bit. She's been,
used like a
someone of her age.
Carbon,
shouldn't be made to do that kind of shit, should they?
No,
she's-
I
she's
agree. But
powerless.
then I think her granddaddy set her up for this, no?
Yeah,
that-
relation set her up. Yeah,
Dad was a producer as well. I think you mentioned it. You know,
yeah,
whole family are on it.
yeah. So we've got Pharrell here. They launched another Live Earth in 2015, and Pharrell's here with his on a video that video that we put on that trailer, Lance. Al Gore introduced him as he's proud to call him his friend now, Pharrell Williams, because they look like they could be friends. Them two,
Yeah,
don't they?
definitely
Just
hang
look
out.
like they're from.
Yeah,
I could see him hanging out in the hood. Yeah.
Let's go for a pint. Yeah,
Well,
Let's go for a
this
pint.
weekend.
I think Pharrell and Al Gore's mum would have a few things to say to each other.
Yeah. I think Pharrell's mates might say, "Oh, who's that fat old bastard?"
Well,
Who's getting around with Pharrell?"
creepy fucker.
Hey, all the differences go out the window when you party on Jeffrey's Island.
Yeah. So I mean, now we know why, if Pharrell's pushing global climate warming change, why he had a second career, as in, because he died off a little bit, didn't he? And then obviously the Happy Song and Despicable Me and all that type of stuff.
Holy shit. So Pharrell was born in Virginia. Now, Virginia were part of that agreement I was talking about, the southern states where they didn't allow the integration. So you think about that. He's on stage with the son of the woman who...
Oh, dear.
Fucking hell.
It's mental, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder if he knew that.
Well,
Probably.
yeah, I expect he did. I expect he was told it as he went on stage.
And he still sold his soul.
He's got his hand on his shoulder. Look at that. He's not bothered now. He's not bothered that Gore's family were whooping people back in the day.
Yeah.
All right, then. So now we come to this bit. Did Al Gore launch the internet? So you guys have been saying for, I don't know how many years now, the Al Gore
2 years.
rhythm. Yeah, at least. The Al Gore rhythm. And Al Gore promoted legislation that funded the expansion of ARPANET, allowing greater public access and helping to develop the internet.
This has been made fresh today.
Who's done that?
Sagehead. Is that
So, why
Kanye
am I
West?
so pocket? I'm like a fat guy on the left-hand side.
Yeah, you've got fat ankles.
Is that
on my
Kanye West
entire
with a
body.
beard?
Is it Kanye West with a beard?
Yeah, with the white beard and the Adidas hat. It's got to be Kanye West, isn't it? Let me just make that bigger. Because everyone else has appeared
Yeah,
in
it's
Rise
Kanye
Above.
West, isn't it?
Who's
Yeah,
the
it
old
is,
man out
yeah.
here? Al Gore's in the middle.
Chris's nostrils are bigger than Kanye West.
Look at the size of my
Right.
body. I've been body shamed.
Yeah, you got Bill Gates' bitch tits.
Just go back to that. Yeah, you did get body shamed in this meme.
Yeah.
I think I did as well. I look a bit like Bill Gates, my body, or Mr.
We're
Burns.
about to do some sort of Morris dance as well. aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is Morris
I think
dances.
the Morris dances out there, yeah. He's mental.
I think them socks will go well with your vest, though, Chris. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that
do you know
Master?
what?
Is Master
Actually,
Lee holding a Dybbuk box? Look at that. It's not. There's no way an
Actually,
accordion. Master Lee's holding.
I
it.
actually,
A ukulele.
I actually do wear a long sock and a short trouser sometimes. It's a very comfortable.
Yeah, I think
thing to wear
that's
around the
a
house.
nice look, is that,
I
Chris?
can see you rocking that look.
That's a
Chris.
very northern look.
I do wear it around the house.
You pass it on,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah. So, Gore is known for pushing internet. Now, I don't even think it was his idea, but I think he was the guy, the poster boy for global climate warming change. But before that, he was pushing more access or the speeding up of ARPANET. And ARPANET is a well-known sort of DARPA-controlled, which, I mean, you can tell by the name, system. Prior to the late 70s, data communication was used for only for sharing devices within companies like General Electric. And Gore apparently has been involved with computers since the late 70s and pushing them first as a congressman and later as a senator and vice president. In a 1998 article, described him as a genuine nerd with a geek reputation running back to his day as a futurist Atari Democrat in the House. Before computers were comprehensible, Gore struggled to explain the artificial intelligence and fiber optic networks to sleepy colleagues. So he's pushing AI, and you're calling him Al Gore rhythm.
What the fuck?
AI rhythm.
Yeah.
AI rhythm.
Yeah,
AI Gore. Blood
some
on the
freaky
dance floor.
stuff going on here. In the early 90s, public usage of the internet was limited, and the problem of giving ordinary Americans network access had excited Senator Al Gore since the late 70s. Gore's involvement in then developing the internet while in Congress with internet pioneers, was noted by internet pioneers Vint Cerf and Bob Kahn, who said, as far back as the 70s, Congressman Gore promoted the idea of high-speed telecommunications as an engine for both economic growth and improvement of our educational system. So go on, sorry,
it
mate.
really is Al Gore.
Is he a fucking sidekick or what? Come on.
It's almost like he planned the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
It makes you think that, doesn't it?
I mean, he's been given information 30 years ahead of what we're now living through, aren't we? Yeah.
That is the gosh button, Andy. Yeah. The AI. Oh, someone, what's his name? Chico Jr. says the AI Gorenet.
Gorenet, yeah.
Gorenet, I like that.
The Algonet.
So now if you think about it, Algonet, he's captured people with the global climate warming change, because most of that's an online thing, isn't it? They're pushing it via social media, etc. And he was pushing the net, if you like, that's captured people.
Every step of the way.
Every step of the way, yeah.
Or in the web.
Yeah, he was the first, apparently in America, this is what they're saying, he was the first elected official to grasp the potential of computer communications to have a broader impact than just improving the conduct of science. When the internet was still in early stages of its development, Congressman Gore provided intellectual leadership by helping create the vision of the potential benefits of high-speed computing and communication.
Someone likes him.
Like, it's got his hand in so many pies. It's like when you sort of peered down into the Epstein hole. Like, he wasn't just this financier and playboy guy. It was like, right up there with the top of information technology, the top of the military industrial complex, gene editing. He had his own genetic farm where he was growing his own superior bloodline. Oh, right, really? Oh, yeah, we'll put on that list too. It seems like this guy is like, there's
vice president.
Yeah, almost became president.
Almost became president, yeah. Probably should have been president if they'd have gone with the votes, but...
Well, I think some of his family, what you're saying, some of his family were bidding against him, weren't they?
Yeah, well, they're backing both sides, weren't they, by the looks of it?
They always do.
Some of his supporters. And when... as an example, he sponsored hearings on how advanced technologies might be put into use in areas like coordinating the response of government agencies to natural disasters and other crises. Like 2020. As a senator, Gore began to craft the High Performance Computing and Communication Act of 1991, often referred to as the Gore Bill, the Blood Bill.
Mental.
Yeah. So you guys unknowingly have been saying all this stuff.
We thought we were joking. We weren't joking.
No.
He taps into the algorithm.
Yeah, you've been tuned into the algorithm.
Maybe we reprogrammed it.
Maybe it's speaking back to us. It knows how we think now, so it's just firing this stuff back at us just to take the
Your
piss out of
Mandela
us.
affected it.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Exactly that.
A localized micro Nelson took place. Oh, listen! I had it this week. The missus goes to me, didn't Judge Judy die in 2021? And I'm like, I don't know. I think so. Maybe. We was like, well, she's alive. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Is this like a Mandela effect? So I sort of had to check online. I was like, does anyone else remember Judge Judy dying? And no one else remembered. It was just me and my missus. And I was like, no, that's just a localized micro Nelson. Right? That's not an actual Mandela effect. That only happened to us. Like, maybe we just got it wrong.
Yeah, definitely more than 2 year, lads. You're more than 2 year.
But then someone said, "Oh no, there was a fakery, and a fake story on the internet that she died." And who knows?
Do you know? Just quickly, I have an obscure Mandela effect, and
go on.
I don't. Kurt Vonnegut, the writer,
No.
Breakfast of Champions. Anyway, I thought he died pre-2000, and I could go into it, but it doesn't matter. But apparently, he died in 2004 or 2005, but I remember him dying before 2000. So if anyone else has got anything on Kurt Vonnegut dying, he wrote Slaughterhouse-5 and Breakfast Champions.
House 5, did he really?
Yeah, Slaughterhouse-5, Breakfast Champions.
Slaughterhouse-5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember him dying like 8 years earlier than he did. Anyway,
does anyone anyone else actually remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison? Because I do.
No, I don't, if I'm honest.
I can't say I do. But Chris remembers the different coloured leg on not R2D2, CP3.
The two that got me about the Mandela effect is C-3PO's leg being silver, because it never was. I've been a massive Star Wars fan my entire life.
No way was it silver.
It wasn't. When I saw that, I was like, that's
silver.
bullshit.
When I saw that Mandela effect, I dragged out my old DVDs that I've got the box set of from fucking 20 years ago, put it on, and his leg's silver. He's got one silver leg.
Fucking Demiurge changed it, mate. That's what happened.
Someone changed it. And the other one is the James Bond one, Moonraker. Do you remember the Moonraker one?
Yeah, Snell just said that here. George's girlfriend's teeth.
Yeah. Because I have actually, I remember that. Yeah.
We need to ring Auntie Covey up and get her to get us that Back to the Future car.
They're the two Mandelas that got me anyway. I don't know about anyone else. Well, and the third Kurt Vonnegut one, but no one knows who he is. So that's a bit like yours, that is, like, to be fair.
Yeah.
Just experienced it on my own.
So this picture is the High Performance Computer Act of 1991. We're nearly done now, actually. So, and this is what he pushed through. This is basically it was created and introduced by Gore and led to the development of the National Information Infrastructure and the funding of the National Research and Education Network. The funding allocation was $600 million.
That was quite a lot in 1991. Yeah. That's a lot. The Gore bill.
Yeah, it led me to the Gore bill. Yeah, sorry, Omar.
No, I was going to say, I wonder how much education got that year.
Yeah,
right.
Probably
yeah,
zero.
If you add that up to like some other government expenditure that year, that's when you realise how big that was when you compare it to what they spent on other things. Mm. Yeah, for sure.
Climate change.
Yeah, like all of it. Mm. Now these two guys here, well, just a small bit on these. It's led me into a different direction, but the guys that were commenting on that Gore was pushing the internet in the 70s, Vint Cerf and Bob Kahn, and they worked for the Advanced Research Projects Agency Network, ARPANET. And ARPANET was established by the United States Department of Defense, and also by the Advanced Research Projects Agency, ARPA. And so
did that become DARPA?
Yeah, I think it did. Yes, yeah, it did. Yeah. So these people come up with man-computer symbiosis. It's a title of a book by a guy called J.C.R. Licklider, which was published in 1960. Licklider outlined the need for simpler interaction between computers and computer users. Licklider has been credited as an early pioneer of cybernetics and artificial intelligence. So these are guys, that were another guy who were working for this agency. Bob Taylor was also an American internet pioneer who led teams that made major contributions to the personal computer and other related technologies. He was a director of ARPA's Information Processing Techniques Office from 1965 through to 1969.
Internet. Before they even finished the internet, they were already talking about like merging humans with a computer.
Yes.
Before they'd even actually properly launched the internet for peasants.
Exactly. Well, these are coming out of meetings that are 50 years in advance, aren't they?
Of course.
That are planning what they're going to do. They've got to get us in the right state of lobotomization to bang fucking frying pans and buy toilet roll first before they can press the button.
I think all that technology already exists. I think they bleed it out to us bit by bit, if I'm honest.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's even openly admitted that like the military industrial complex had the internet like back in the 60s. That, you know, that you can find that on official records. So if they're telling us that, it's, you know, it's, yeah, like we said, it's more likely that this stuff is released to us.
Flat screens and iPhones and tablets, you can explain a car, can't you? People can explain a car to me. You can't explain that bit of technology to me.
No.
there's an explanation, is there? It's fucking witchcraft. Really.
So those two guys there, though, Chris, who were getting that award from Bush, they were Vint Keefe, Bob Kahn worked at DARPA. Vint Cerf worked at the CIA-run Stanford University and later DARPA, and they formulated the Transition Control Program. And apparently, the ARPANET was decommissioned in 1990,
Came DARPA.
just about the same time as the internet was rolled out, 91 time. Yeah, a bit like Facebook, a bit like that thing we were talking about in that where what would it call? LifeLog was closed down on February 3rd, and Facebook
came out.
Facebook came out doing exactly the same thing.
Then
and so they
just to make sure you realise.
Yeah, the movie, just a bit, just a bit social networks. That'd be a good one, actually, wouldn't it? Doing like a movie night of the background of all these movies. That'd be a good one, actually.
Mm.
You said his name was Bob Kahn.
Bob Kahn, Kahn,
not Khan.
It's interchangeable. Kahn can be spelled either way.
No, because I'm looking at one Bob Kahn. He's got a real similar sort of like. He's from Yorkshire as well.
No, even from Yorkshire. I don't think this
Kahn
guy.
just means priest class in Arabic.
Right.
But this guy's into like global transformation programs and all sorts of stuff.
Same as when you see Cohen. Kahn is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I just did a quick search on because I've never heard of this guy before. No, but I've come up with the wrong guy, but it's a very similar, like.
Right.
Yeah, because he's got the same name. It's just the pattern repeats.
Well, this guy called himself a bearded villain. You know what I mean?
I noticed the Amish guys are in the chat.
Big shout to Amish Inquisition. We're the Ramish.
Right, Amish Inquisition.
Phil's in the house.
Yeah, I came across their podcast through you guys.
Great
actually.
lads. Yeah, great lads.
It's good.
We're gonna have a chat with them next year, I think.
Yeah,
that'd be a good one.
Yeah, I've got a lot of questions I want to know about the Amish sort of.
They're not actually Amish.
Oh,
they're not.
No, they've just got really good beards.
Yeah, they've just got ZZ top beards.
I actually asked them why they were called Amish Inquisition. I didn't really get a straight answer, to be fair.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're not actually Amish. I thought it was just the beard.
No, they're not.
Okay.
No,
it says, I think he said, because he said they respect the Amish's viewpoint.
I do now as well. I used to think they were backwards. Now I realise that they're forwards.
Yeah.
I came across
fucking Amish.
I came across this video. There's not a right lot of talking in it, so it's only for a minute, but it gives us a bit of a breather. And it's got Sir Richard Branson and Chris Martin at Davos doing a UN photo shoot.
Are they going to each a hand job?
Well, yeah, probably.
Reach around.
All right, let me get it up one sec. Let's have a look.
Ambassadors, if we could bring them in a second. Hello. Oh, hello. Okay, guys, have you got... Yeah. Sure. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. And then we'll bring you in.
Okay.
Okay. I think to come in if that's all right. Gather in with
This is like Save the Snowman fun. Climate change is threatening these snowmen.
Whoever did this is incredible.
Yes. 2.5 days. Thank you. Is that all right? Brilliant.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
So that was a nice little photo opportunity, nice little publicity stunt there.
Well, again, they're just dragging all these people in. I mean, Branson's a well-known mover and shaker.
Don't you think that looks tragic? It looks tragic, you know.
Yeah.
They're both worth all that money, and they've got to stand there with a lot of fucking snowmen having the photos taken. Do you know what I mean?
Snowmen lives matter.
You were telling a story, Chris, about Stevie Wonder when you went to watch him once. Yeah. That's an interesting story.
Yeah. Well, it was. I mean, I went with my mate. He got some tickets to go. You know, when he played in Hyde Park with Lionel Richie, a couple of years ago. Yeah, but just before the COVID nonsense.
Okay.
And Stevie Wonder were on stage. They had a DJ with him, and he flaked. He kept flaking. And then everyone stood there going, what the hell's going on? Loads of people there. And it literally looked like someone just walked up and jabbed him in the neck. And then all of a sudden, they were back to Stevie Wonder. It was very odd.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was very odd. He was like that.
Do you think he's a diabetic, Chris? Do you think that's what happened? Do you think he went into...
And in the middle of that concert, which was, because there was literally everyone there was thousands of people there, and they're all like waiting for Stevie Wonder to kick off and sing classic Stevie Wonder songs, and he didn't. And he'd start, and then he'd stop, and he'd start, and he'd stop, and then a DJ would come on. And everyone's like, what the fuck is going on? And I saw him on the big screen, and he was just sat there like hunched over. And then people came out, and they started like talking to him. Then all of a sudden, he was like fully motivated. But then at the end of the concert, he said, sorry about that I lagged a little bit. But I'm due a kidney transplant in October. So this was in the summer. I'm due a kidney transplant in a couple of months, basically. Now, I know people who've had kidney transplants. You literally, someone dies, then you get a phone call, and then you go out and you get the kidney transplant. How he knew he had one planned for October is beyond me.
He's probably getting from China. You can tell them exactly when you want it there, and that's with peasant money. Like 10k, no problem. Like, but Stevie Wonder is like, well, I haven't really got time now. I'll have it then. Keep it warm for me.
I suppose what they injected was a bit of Adreno, and
but just when you think about, the whole lifetime actor performing monkey thing, that's what that looked like to me. So Richard Branson's worth how many? I don't know. You probably know better than me. Why is he?
Probably 5.5 billion or something like that is worth.
5.5 billion.
Yeah,
and he feels the need to stand in a field of snowmen and have his photo taken with another knobhead,
freezing his nuts off.
Why would you do that? You would not do that, would you? In a million years, unless you were part of some agenda scope, you just wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
he's not making any money out of that, is he?
No, there's no reason to be there.
To keep his brand, his face is part of his brand. Don't forget, his beard is.
His beard is part of his brand.
But even then, his beard is. He's reached the point at 5 billion where you don't really need to be involved in your brand anymore, do you? Or your branding. Just get someone to draw a Kentucky Fried Chicken cartoon head here and use that.
I just feel like Andy's
it looks a bit like him, though.
You can't actually grow one.
What are you saying in the back there, bartender?
Oh,
I turned your mic on, by the way.
He's giving me general shit, as usual.
Andy's just jealous because he can't actually grow a beard himself.
Oh, right, you're jealous of Richard Branson. Is that right?
It was strange, because, well, not strange, but his great-granddad was he was a barrister on the Privy Council, etc. And he wrote a book with a guy, another Sir something or other, and his last name was Schwab. So, honestly, Lance, I looked at it and I thought, no. Oh, God. Anyway, he's... Yeah.
It's like a never-ending play. The great work goes on throughout the ages, and these families have different assigned roles, and sometimes they change around, but it's just always the same people.
Yeah.
It's like they're coming off a conveyor belt, like a bunch of clones or something like that.
Yeah,
I would hazard a guess that Branson doesn't have a clue, if I'm honest with you.
Do you not think so?
You don't seem that smart to me, if I'm honest. It's like we always talk about, like Elon Musk. Have you ever heard him say anything slightly intelligent? Because I haven't. Smartest man in the world, richest man in the world.
I've watched a couple of his, they're not interviews, they're where he's like descending knowledge as such. And he seems pretty clued up with some of the things he's talking about, but it's never not to the level of like scientific AI shit. I've never heard him talk about anything like that.
You don't know if he's got an earpiece in, though. You don't know if he's got an earpiece in.
No, you don't know whether he's got an earpiece in. Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't he never seems comfortable. That's for sure. Whenever I see Musk speak, he never seems.
Handle weed. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, he can't smoke with Joe Rogan.
But they use that, don't they, to make out he's a little bit special and a bit like super intelligent. They make him and out.
I mean,
the Rain Man.
If someone really is that intelligent, you would sort of normally expect them to either be someone that is like one of those just polymaths, really charismatic as well, or they probably going to be quite shy. If someone's really as intelligent as we're expected to think that Musk is, or is he just?
But even if he was shy, he'd at least reel off a load of geek shit, that you didn't understand.
Well, Musk put his name out there years ago. Like he was famous years and years ago, but the name only started coming about when he started doing all this online stuff. So what about if it was someone behind him telling him what to do, how to
Well,
portray
it
his
is,
name and his
100%.
face, and going out like that way? He's got no part of it. He's just the body of whatever's
The face of
behind
it. He's been chosen to be the face of
Yeah,
something.
he has been chosen. Yeah, his dad owned an emerald mine, which apparently he bought in a lucky. He was delivering an aeroplane, and he had to land in. He were going somewhere, and he had to land in Kenya or Zambia to refuel. And somebody said, "Do you want to buy an emerald mine?" And he went, "All right then." So they bought an emerald mine because that's what you do. And they bought an emerald mine
in a garage. We're in a garage.
Yeah. And if you see his actual backstory, you just read it and you think, anyway, it's just absolute nonsense. And going back to that Branson thing, his grandfather was Sir George Arthur Harwin Branson, member of the Privy Council. And he wrote the book, The Treatise on the Laws of the Stock Exchange. The other man was called Sir Walter George Salis Schwab, with an E at the end. Yeah?
Schwabi.
And his original name was Solomon ben Elias. Yeah?
Solomon
So we know where he's
Herschel
coming from.
Steinberg
Yeah.
Schwab.
Chief Justice of the Madras High Court in India.
Wow.
So how did Branson end up in a squat then? Did he get kicked out for nicking his dad's cigars, Havana cigars or something?
Probably, yeah. Probably. But you look at the history, none of them have got a history like we have. You know?
No, they've all
And I'm
got a
not-
very elaborate history. I know, I've noticed that about these people.
And in fairness, you can't knock the children. The children can't help being born into these families. You know, that's not their issue, is it? But it's
But
what they
also,
turn
why do
out
they record
like.
them,
You know?
But why do they
But they
record them?
Exactly. Yeah,
though.
that's
Being
real.
recorded.
Yeah,
Generation
they-
to generation back.
Yeah, these guys, they're taught from a very young age about what they have to repeat and how their cycle is going to continue. So,
Mark, who called in the other week, here he is. He's made a good point here. There's a book from the 20s or 30s that a guy called Elon goes to Mars. If I'm not mistaken, that book is actually written by von Braun, which was one of the Operation Paperclip ex-Nazi NASA
who's the guy,
rocket
who's
scientist.
the guy that wrote Trump?
I'm not sure that was written by him.
No, that's that.
Yeah.
You're not sure?
I don't think
No,
that book was written by Von Braun, was it?
That's what I heard. And the first man to go to Mars was called Elon. Can anyone in the live
No,
chat
in the book, it's about the young boy Trump, isn't it? And he
that book is written by Inglewood Look. Their name is it's the name of a watch. That's a different book.
All
Yeah,
right, sorry.
Yeah, that's a totally different thing. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Well, if you want to join us,
my
Lance,
fault, Chris.
Blame it on Homer Beats.
yeah. If
Anyone
you,
in the live chat, what's this book called?
if you want to
Von
join us,
Braun.
Lance, we're going to do I've written a Von Braun presentation. We're going to do live.
Okay.
We'll
which is-
wait for that, shall we?
Yeah, which is quite an interesting one. Yeah, some of them. And did you know that Werner von Braun is related to 3 royal bloodlines? The British bloodline being one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the von stands for Baron. So
Yeah, right, yeah.
Baron Werner von Braun.
Baron
and
always
he's got-
sounds pleasant sinister as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's interesting to look into his background, where they say he invented the V2 rocket, when in reality he worked for the guy who invented the V2 rocket, and he was the head man that came over because, again, he's got the bloodline.
He was high ranking in the SS, so he got to take the credit.
Yes, yeah,
Almost a bit Muscovian.
Also, yeah. Well, he
Definitely.
speaks. If you think of Germans trying to talk English, they always have no matter how long they're in an English country, they always have a German accent, don't they? Yeah. And you listen to him when he's doing that Disney thing that Godvadger's put on there many times, and he just talks proper English, like he's from England, not America.
Better English than we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those people probably never classed themselves as German in the first place, which is what you've got to remember.
Well, they all I can imagine they all went to English.
They're international who's, aren't they? So,
well, I mean, when you start looking at Paperclip and you go into the people that they brought over in Paperclip, you know, that so many people ended up running like the EU and things like that. Not that's outside Paperclip.
They set up the EU.
Yeah, they set up the EU. So
and NATO.
And NATO, yeah. They're all members of Knights of Malta.
CIA.
It's just, you know, again, if you were going to write a novel, you couldn't write this stuff, could you?
Was the other guy you were talking about earlier on, the other German scientist, was he part of Paperclip as well?
Yeah, they'd brought. I'll try and find them in my notes, but there were they were all brought over in paperclip and all ended up working for these huge American defense like contracting companies, you know, and then working for NASA as well. And they also, a lot of them work for the US military intelligence and things like that. So, they're interestingly, we mentioned the Guggenheims before. When a lot of them came over, they stayed on the Guggenheim estate. So you've got a load of ex-Nazis coming over and staying on the estate of the Guggenheims.
The Guggenheim.
The Guggenheimans.
Wait a minute, aren't the Guggenheims from the priest class?
Nazis, yes, yeah.
Wait a minute, how does that work?
Nazi. So get them into your house.
The last 4 letters in their name is a giveaway, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Yeah,
They can do what they like.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is what people can't get their head around with Zelensky. How can he be whoish and then have what's it, Azov Battalion? How can that be? Well, you obviously don't know much about World War II, comrades. Let me tell you a tale. Roll up your sleeves and turn off all your recording devices. I'm going to tell you something.
But yeah, all of these people. I mean, the Guggenheims, and then who's funding Paperclip? But again, they're all of the priest class as well, aren't they? So, I did some research on the Rockefellers, and the Rockefellers originated from Germany, and they were of the priest class.
Yeah, that's right. They are.
Yes, the Sabbatean Frankish priest, whose Messiah came in 1666. Their Messiah has already come, been and gone,
and so they all. Which so I was telling, it was Jacko. I think Jacko's in the chat tonight. Crabclaws. He was telling me the other day that after Kanye has rant about the priest class, they've now got Robert Peston. You know, the guy that does all the business things on TV. He's of the priest class. Badil and a few other people now sort of publicly coming out saying we're going to set a group up to be against all the anti-Semitic rantings of people. So you can't even mention the word or you're anti-Semitic.
Yeah, this is one of the issues that I've discovered when you're even looking at research.
Pattern recognition is anti-Semitic.
The algorithm is going to pick it up.
Even when you start researching, that's why you start to get shut down.
Yeah.
Globalist fire, anti-Semitic.
You can't even say globalist now, can you? That's anti-Semitic. You're a woman on is it LB radio? What is it?
LBC.
Is it LBC radio? A guy rang in, was saying that Rishi Sunak is a globalist, and the interviewer, a lady, said to him, "I'm just going to have to stop you there. You can't say globalist because my priest class listeners won't be happy."
Wow.
Yeah, that's recent. That's all in the last 2 weeks.
I saw David Icke, or King David as we refer to him around these parts. He got banned from travelling to the rest of the EU last week. He got banned from the whole EU for being anti-priest class, apparently.
Yeah. Wow.
I guess that's what they got him for.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Can't it says this is anti-God badge.
Anti-God badge.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, there is the unspoken ones.
Walter Robert Dornberger, I think the guy you're looking for the V2.
Okay.
Yeah. He came over. He was awarded the Iron Cross as well by Hitler. But he came over anyway.
Services to the parasite.
It was that research centre, wasn't it? What it called? Peenemünde or something like that. Army Research Centre, that massive underground place. And I think this guy ran it, Major General Dr. Walter Robert Dornberger.
That's the name of it.
Vegan burger.
Domburger.
Yeah. A vegan burger. Yeah, it's from Wakefield, yeah.
That's what made me laugh, the vegan burger.
Yeah.